Well, hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our Atlassian for Business Teams webinar. My name is Jason Kidner. I'm a solutions architect here at Expium, and I'm going to be walking you through a number of ways that Atlassian tools can help you as a business team. I'm also a SAFe program consultant and an Atlassian certified Jira administrator. So again, thank you for joining today. I really hope you find this webinar to be of value and worthy of your time and full of helpful information and examples for your team. So here we have a slide of a dumpster fire, and the focus of this is the way that work gets done has changed. Since the pandemic started last year, there's been a decade of change in a year. And if you're in HR or any business team, you have likely felt this. So a few things that have changed. You can't just walk to the next cube to talk to one of your teammates. You can't gather around a bulletin board or a coffee machine. Likely you have extra processes and checklists for things like sanitation and contact tracing, things like that that you didn't have 2 years ago. Somehow you likely have more meetings than you had before, since everything is online now. And work just keeps changing faster and faster. So you've got a lot on your plate, you're working harder than before. And if you're someone who has struggled through this past year and a half, thank you for continuing to even show up. So I know HR has basically had an entire second job added to its list of things to do, and possibly your team if you're in another type of business team. So today I'd like to show you tools and processes that will hopefully make your work and your team's work and maybe even your personal life easier. And a couple ways that hope to help you with this is we want to show you how tools can help make work visible, that tools can help give you a clear next step in your processes, that they'll be making work collaborative. The tools will be flexible to modify processes as quickly as your environment and your work processes change. And all of this is really for any team, no matter what team you are. So it can be very flexible and very useful for many different use cases. So our agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to go over some things around Agile and an Agile mindset and how that can even apply much more broadly than just software development. And we're going to then look at some practical examples of some ways that we here at Expium have worked with clients to help with different use cases that for various business teams and how Atlassian tools can help them out. And we're also going to have time for question and answer at the end as well. And if you submit your questions via the Q&A part of this Zoom call, I could hopefully even get to some of these questions while I'm doing a specific example and use case. If you have any questions about that, I'd love to answer that while I'm in a particular example. And we'll also have time at the end to answer any questions. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Agile. So what started with software development is now everywhere, but there remains a lot of confusion. So an Agile mindset is not about doing more work in less time. It's about generating more value with less work. So basically, it's outcome over output. It responds to a central challenge of business, which is how to provide quick, continuous value at scale. So Agile companies create small, self-organizing, cross-functional teams designed to continuously provide new value for its customers. Agile companies are obsessed with delivering value to customers, whether that's internal customers or external customers. And Agile companies are constructed as a transparent network of individuals who collaborate together towards a common goal, again, focused on the customers, providing value to customers. So this really involves these networks of people within your organization that live in harmony with an HR hierarchy. So again, whether you're in software development or HR or legal or some other business team, Agile provides a competitive advantage. So, and you're probably already on your way with this, but with Agile, you have a competitive advantage when you're responsive to your customers. Again, whether it's an internal or external customer, for new hires, for employees, it helps you be responsive with changes in regulation, with changes in the market that you're working with. It also allows you to build quality into the process along the way and allow you to make changes very quickly. And then you can deliver value fast, shortening the time between need and delivery. And this doesn't have to be huge chunks of value. It can be small incremental value. So you don't have to build it all right away. You can add like more and more value as you go along and as you iterate. So that's all we really want to touch on about the Agile process. But how do we then put this into practice? And this is where tools come in. And today we're going to look at Atlassian tools. So Atlassian tools are ubiquitous. They're likely already in your organization somewhere. We often work with business teams who are ready to purchase an Atlassian product, and then they're surprised that their company already has them. So from there, all their teams need to know is understanding how to best use this tool, how to customize this tool for their particular needs. But if you don't have them, Atlassian tools are inexpensive and they're very simple to get started with. There's no need to go to your VP of procurement to purchase them. You just need a credit card, especially if you're on the cloud. You just need a credit card, or you could work with a partner like Expium who can help you with licensing. So what are some of these tools? Well, the focus of Atlassian is they're all about teams at Atlassian, helping teams work better, to collaborate better. So the tools are designed around teams to be collaborative, flexible, scalable. So we have the main tool within Atlassian, what they're most known for is Jira. And primarily there's Jira software, which is a flexible work tracking tool that helps you and your team plan and track and visualize work. And we'll be showing a number of things within Jira today. There's also Confluence, which is a collaborative wiki-style documentation tool that integrates really well with Jira. And so when you pair Jira and Confluence together, you can work really smartly. They provide for knowledge sharing, designing collaboratively, tracking work to completion, and providing some really great reporting opportunities for all your stakeholders, whether it's your team, your direct supervisor, or the CEO of your organization. And as we can see on this slide, there's a number of other tools. Some of these we will touch on as well. There is Jira Align. That is Atlassian's Agile at scale, like enterprise level product that allows for the alignment of the planning of work from the top down, from CEO level down to the teams. And it also allows that planning of work to be aligned with the execution of all the work coming from the team up. So we do have some other webinars that touch on Jira Align and focus on that Agile at scale that you can check out our website to look up those. Atlassian also has a product called Trello, which we'll just touch on very briefly here, but it's a way to either individually or as a team track your work and have to-do lists and things like that for given processes or given projects you're working on. There's also Bitbucket, which is Atlassian's code repository tool. And then finally here we have Jira Service Management that we'll look at a little bit today, but that's Atlassian's ITSM product that has a lot of new evolving features in it. That's becoming very, very popular in the market. So none of these are specific modules like in a larger service. They're all a part of a framework that you can choose to use this product or this product, but they all integrate really nicely together. And one important note here is that these tools are not meant to replace systems that you already have, like an HRIS. Rather, they're here to help fill in the gaps for your team. And so if you don't have a process tool, they are a great foundation, a great option to consider. Okay, so we're going to look at a number of practical examples of how these tools can help with your business teams. We're going to look at task management. Then we'll switch to project management. We'll look at a use case around hiring or onboarding employees specifically for as service agents. Then we have, we'll show how you can use service desks with that Jira service management piece that's layered on Jira and also has integration with Confluence. We'll show you how you can use a service desk for your business team. And then lastly, we're going to look at documentation and the centralization of information, specifically using Confluence. So let's jump into our first one, which is task management. And so for task management, who is this for? Well, it's for everyone. It's for any type of team, potentially. And the problem here is as a team, what do we have to do? What are we working on? Is everything up to date? And who is taking care of a specific work item? Who's assigned to that? And so the solution at a high level is a central task management tool that has multiple views, like calendar or lists. And ultimately what we're seeing with this is we run into a lot of business teams that are currently working in a spreadsheet. And they're in there and they're having trouble updating it and working together and just visualizing it well or sharing it well. And so what we see is these business teams bringing their spreadsheet of information into a tool like Jira. So we're going to switch over, and I'm going to demo here in one of our Jira demo instances. So we're going to focus here on what's called Jira Work Management. This used to be Jira's business projects, and it's rebranded as Work Management. And right now, I want to just note that this is only available in the cloud versions of Jira, the cloud tiers. It's not in the data center or server deployments of Jira. So I'm here in a cloud instance of Jira, and our Confluence or other tools will also be in cloud instances. So I'm specifically in an accounting project here that's for Jira Work Management. And there's a number of things to point out. So there's a lot of different views of this information. So first is a list view. This essentially looks like a spreadsheet, a grid, a spreadsheet view of various work items. In Jira, these items are called issues, and each of them has a number of fields that are filled out. I'll actually go ahead and click on one of these. And we see a view screen of a particular issue or work item. And there's various fields to fill out, like description, summary, who's assigned to the work, who reported it. There's things like due date, priority. In this case, there's a custom field around department. There's a start date, and there's many, many other fields you can add and customize this however you want to do this. And there's other ways to link these with other issues and do subtasks, a number of other relationships. And then as well, if you're familiar with Jira, there's also ways where you can comment and collaborate with other team members through commenting. And you can always see an audit log of history of your work as well. And each item within Jira Work Management or Jira Software, these other projects within Jira, they have what's called a workflow. So I see up here, I see the status of where the work is, and I can always view this workflow by choosing this option. And we'll be looking at a couple different workflows today. Here, this is a very wide open workflow for, in this case, budget creation, where something would go from to do to in progress, to feedback, to approval, and then ultimately to done being approved or done not being approved. So this is a fairly wide open workflow, but just wanted to note this. We'll touch on some other workflows later. So once these work items or issues are in Jira Work Management, you can visualize them in various ways. Here, again, is a list of all of the tasks. These are tasks to be done for this team. I can see a lot of the different fields out here. I can even go in one of these and I can update a given field right here within this list view. I can update the status, or I could update the assignee, or any of these other fields. Some fields aren't even shown here, but I can click on this plus option. I can see which fields are shown. I can choose them or unchoose them within this list view. I can even do some filtering as well, some quick filtering. So this is one view here. Can also go to a board view. And this is what is called a board or a Kanban board within Jira software as well. It's that sort of view where basically within Jira, you're getting a digitized view of something that previously would have been on the wall in your office with sticky notes that are getting moved from one column to the next column. And here we can see that each of these columns represents a different part of the workflow of these tasks. And so I can see at any given time who's working on these, how many of these tasks are in which, like feedback versus approval. I can see, and I can even use this board to take one of these, and I'm highlighting this one particular task, and I'm moving it along through the workflow. So it's not just for visualizing, it's actually for moving things and transitioning work along the workflow. So this is a really nice view of your work. There's also a calendar view, which highlights, again, based on the start and due dates of your tasks, it puts them up on a calendar. And I can even see which ones are getting close to being finished, or maybe they're past the due date here. So there's some color coding as well out here, but you can very quickly see these items on the calendar view. Similarly, you have a timeline view. This is similar to some of the other road mapping views that you'll see in other parts of Jira, other types of Jira projects. But here, again, we see the timeline. We see, again, based on start and due dates, where these tasks are within the overall calendar and how they fit together. And maybe something's misaligned or off, and then you go in and update this as well. And these are all very shiftable. You can adjust the start and move these timelines around like you might be used to with other like Gantt chart tools. Jira Work Management also offers a forms option, and this is something that can be used for the intake of information or ideas into your particular for your particular team. So instead of getting things coming in other ways via emails or phone calls or something like that, you could set up a form that you could share across, to other users within your organization, and then that data could then be input as an issue or work item within your project, and then you can start to take actions upon that. So you have the ability to create forms out here, which is something new. And there's a number of other features here. These are the main ones I wanted to highlight here, but ultimately, again, this is focused on for any particular team, business team out there. You could use this to get out of your spreadsheets and actually start to work collaboratively, make real-time updates that everybody else that's coming into Jira, wherever you happen to be in the world, can see those updates real time, and you can work together in some really cool ways. So that is our task management. Let's move on to our second example here. This is focused on project management. So who is this for? It could be for PMO teams, HR teams, marketing teams, legal teams, really any team that's managing projects. So the problem here is when you're managing, you might be managing one project or multiple projects. It's often difficult to keep track of the work when many teams are collaborating or when there are many handoffs within a single team. So alignment usually comes in the form of standing meetings or manual status reports. Additionally, things are tracked potentially in Excel or in PowerPoint slides, which can make collaboration and visibility more difficult and need to have a lot of manual updating. So another problem can be knowing if you have all the right information before starting the project, or you might have, again, all these different sources of truth that are just spread out and nobody's quite sure of all the information that you need to know for a given project or projects. So the solution at a high level is making work more visible, and it's easily modified, and you want to make the work easily modifiable as the team and environment requires. And it automates reporting to cut down on standing meetings. So we work with teams that just meet all day long, and it makes it really hard to get work done. And they need to very quickly make updates and see those updates very quickly wherever, again, they might be in the world. So this is a solution. We're going to highlight a solution that we did actually build for a client using both Jira and Confluence. So we're going to step back into our instance again. All right, so here we're doing our same instance. I now have moved over to our marketing project management project. This is not a Jira work management project. This is a classic Jira software project. So there's the ability, so this has some little different UI, and it has the ability to do Kanban and Scrum boards. In this case, we're just using some Kanban boards that are available. And so in this particular case, I am working on I'm a marketing team member, and I'm happen to be managing or working on a team project called Project Alpha. So you can see our team is also managing some other projects, but I'm focused in on this Project Alpha, and I can see it on the board here. I can see it's in progress. And when I click on this, this happens to be an epic within Jira, which also relates to maybe a feature. You might have heard that term, a feature within Agile software development, that term. So I'm going to click on this particular item, and it opens up the view screen, and I see a lot of information out here. And again, this happens to be an epic within Jira, and I note that this is for Project Alpha. There's a lot of information here, a lot of custom fields that have been set up. And the idea here is that for this particular project, Jira, the information in Jira is the source of truth for all the things related to this particular project. So when this project comes in, it's being created, all these fields are being filled out as best as they can so that everybody's on the same page in terms of approvals, whatever funding, getting the project completed. So we have some different custom fields out here. We have, let's see, there's some other info. That's just some other fields available. We also have some other quick fields that can be easily put in, like not the large text fields, like assignee, project size. You can see who's sponsoring the project, who are the stakeholders. These are just user picker fields. Again, start and end dates that are really important when you're trying to plan these. You have the epic name here, which is a specific thing in Jira, and some other fields that just don't happen to be filled out. But what I also see here is, again, leveraging that Jira epic, you can then create other issues or work items underneath that. In this case, tasks that link up to this particular epic, this particular Project Alpha. So at any given time, I can go in here and I can see all of the work items that are making up this particular project. There's some milestones, there's tasks out here. I can see where they are in their particular workflow. And as I scroll down again, I can see all the commenting that might be happening on this particular issue, its history. And I can note here that we'll touch on very soon that it has some integration over into Confluence. And we'll look at that very soon. And at any given time, I can obviously update its workflow. I can see its workflow as well. So you have a lot of information, again, that we're going to then use and visualize into Confluence. This is just one project that me and my team is working on. And as I go to this Kanban board, I can see that we're also working on 4 other projects as well. So, but some of your folks, your stakeholders, they might not be in Jira too much. They might rather live in Confluence and want to see updates in Confluence about the progress being made and where each of these projects is at. So with that, I'm going to go into Confluence. I could easily jump into Confluence by going down here and choosing this link as well for the Project Alpha page. So if I chose that, it would bring me over into Confluence. Again, this is Confluence Cloud. And I'm brought into the Project Alpha page, as it were. And so we've set this up. Again, we've done this specifically for a client in the last year, where their source of truth is Jira. That's where they're inputting all this data for a given project. But out here, what we did is we created a page that has a lot of other information. It's using the team calendars for Confluence macro, which comes with Confluence Premium. So I can see what's happening with my team when people are on paid time off, when there's trainings, birthdays, things like that. We can see all the people related to a given project and things that might impact their work. Over here, I can see, again, the status. This is a link directly back into Jira. I can see the Jira issue that this project is in, its status. There's a couple things here. It's just a basic table in Confluence that I've then put in a couple of statuses this to show its overall overall status, resource, budget, scheduling status. Are we on track or not? There's some details, some high-level details. Again, this has been brought in from Jira, this information right here. So we're not having to enter it in manually in this Confluence. It's just looking at the data already in Jira. If I scroll down on this page, I can see some Jira macros that are set up to show various filter results. Some showing the current work being done within this particular project. And I can even show pie charts or other type of charts that your Confluence may have. I can see completed work. I can also see any milestones or deadlines that have been set up as, again, particular issues that are linked up to this project. And then at the bottom, I can also highlight other fields that, again, are in that particular Jira issue. Can show all this out there. And one thing to note is if any changes are made within Jira, if a status is changed or a new task is added, new work items are added, or something is updated for one of these fields, when this page is refreshed, you're going to get a real live representation of the work where it stands right now. So again, no manual updating over here in Confluence. It's just all coming from Jira. And then at the bottom here, we're just noting that you can add attachments onto these Confluence pages. So we've put some macros in here. If there's any specific updates or any files related to this project, they can also be put in here as an attachment, or as we'll see later, it could potentially be a link to some other place where you're storing documentation. So this again was just for Project Alpha. If we want to go up again to our overall view as a team to see where all our projects are at, I'm going to go up one page level here up to this project dashboard for our marketing project. And here, again, just using all sorts of out-of-the-box Confluence macros, I'm able to bring in information from each of the projects, the individual project pages, into this summary project dashboard page. And I can bring in, again, their various statuses. I can bring in their project details. Again, this came from Jira. So each of these particular pages here are referencing a Jira epic, and all the information is coming over for each of these projects from a specific Jira epic issue. So I can see this all in one nice dashboard. And we're also highlighting here that in Jira, specifically if you have Jira Cloud Premium, you get what's called advanced roadmaps, which is another visualization option within Jira. And so we've put these projects in an advanced roadmaps plan that we could then embed within a Confluence page like we've done here, where I can quickly see the projects, I can see their timelines, I can see the work being done within each of them and what status is. So this is a really great quick view over all the work being done and by embedding an advanced roadmaps plan. So, and again, all this is being updated live from Jira. So Jira, again, is your source of truth rather than having items all over in different places. So going back here, let's go back to our example. All right, let me just double check if there's any questions. No questions so far. Very good. So again, in this case, the solution was to use Jira and Confluence together. All right, so before we go to the last three examples, just a quick commercial break. Again, I work with a company called Expium. We are a platinum solution partner with Atlassian. So we're in that highest tier, that top tier of Atlassian solution partners. It takes a lot of hoops to jump through to get to that tier. So we have many consultants that are all certified in various Atlassian products. And so we offer a number of services. So one thing is we do training. We do these free webinars every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central, as we're based here in St. Louis, Missouri in the US. So we offer trainings. We'll show you some of the list of trainings at the end. We also, in addition to these free webinars, we also offer 1 to 3 day boot camps. We have a 3-day Jira boot camp, a 1-day Confluence boot camp, and we're also looking to offer some other things related to Jira Service Management, Jira Align as well in the future. So those are our public offerings. We also do a lot of private trainings with companies as well. We do a fair amount of consulting with small to enterprise level organizations with any Atlassian products or multiple products. And those could look like just implementing a product, helping to do a customization. Lately, over the past year, we've been doing a lot more cloud migrations, as again, Atlassian is sunsetting their server products. So if you need help at moving from your server or data center instance of Jira Confluence to cloud, we'd be happy to talk with you about that. And we also have a sister development company called Oasis Digital. And so we do a lot of custom development. We have a lot of really talented, experienced software developers in-house. So anything you need, any sort of customized front end or customized scripting in the background to get the most out of your Atlassian products, we have done some really, really cool solutions for our clients. And we'd love to talk with you about your specific needs. Lastly, we provide licensing support for Atlassian products. We can be your licensing partner at no cost to you. We can often provide discounts that other partners can't give you or that you wouldn't get just going directly to Atlassian. So we could even talk with you about your licensing needs as well. So that is a little bit about Expium. So let's go back to some other practical examples. So next up is hiring and onboarding. Who is this for? Well, it could be maybe likely an HR team, but it could be any team that has some sort of onboarding process. So what's the problem we're trying to solve here? Well, every team has unique needs and processes that are changing over time. So we're going to show an example of an onboarding workflow, actually 2 workflows, specifically for an insurance company that we worked with. This company was having to hire thousands of people each year, and many of these were for tier 1 or tier 2 level support agents. And so they knew that they had a very full pipeline. They needed to coordinate the onboarding of tasks across multiple teams. They needed to sync those onboarding processes with other external systems, like getting hardware and software, and getting people set up, for VPN access, things like that. And they also needed to meet their insurance industry compliance. So these teams were stuck in spreadsheets, again, making collaboration and visibility really difficult. So the solution at a high level was a tailored workflow. I'll show you 2 of them actually that provide clear next steps. And these workflows also have some automatically validated information. They had some automation in the background that would create tasks for downstream teams to start to work on and accomplish. And they provided some guardrails around the compliance needs again for their industry. And they also provided some integration with external systems. So a lot of things that we can't necessarily show you the background with, but we'll show you, touch on the surface of what we did here. And then ultimately, the solution provides a reporting dashboard to show where everyone is at in again, real time in the onboarding process. So the solution involved using Jira. And again, this is something we built for one of our clients recently. So let's go back into Jira. This time I've gone into our onboarding project. And I'm just going to live here on a couple of boards that we've set up. So this onboarding project is focused again on the hiring and the onboarding of both tier 1 agents, and then also those tier 2 agents that need to have an even higher level of compliance and a higher level of certification within this particular insurance company. So first we have this tier 1 onboarding board. And what we see here, each of these particular cards or issues in Jira, they represent an employee who's being onboarded. So I'm going to click into Florence Christie. And again, I see a view screen of a particular issue. So this one is for Florence. There's not much is filled out here, but information could be put in here. And then we can see who is assigned to particularly focus on the training of Florence. Again, this is in a particular workflow that we'll look at shortly, and who reported this, potentially who their supervisor is going to be, or any other approvals or things like that could be put on these particular issues. These can be very customized. But the focus here is that there is a workflow in the background of each of these issues. So here's a look at this. And without going into too much depth, we can see here that it's not a wide open workflow like we saw earlier. It's got a very linear flow. So the idea here for onboarding is that a person is recruited, they're scheduled for training and for onboarding. They're going through a training process represented by this particular status. Then after training, they go through some peer monitoring, making sure they're starting to get some work experience and being monitored by their peers. Again, getting ready to make sure that they are good to go. And in any of these places, or in these parts of the onboarding process, they could go forward or they could potentially go back to a previous status. There's also the ability of maybe someone was recruited and they've withdrawn. Maybe they said, no, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this type of work. They're a no-show, particularly maybe for some sort of training or scheduling, something like that. And ultimately, this could lead then to a terminated status, whether they just were terminated because they withdrew themselves, or they weren't a good fit for this work for the organization and they were terminated. And note too that what's happening here is there's some other workflows, there's some other processes happening in other projects within Jira that allow, again, there can be these integrations between multiple workflows within Jira. So there could be something happening over here in another workflow, like a terminating process project that has its own workflow, that eventually when various things happen and there's a workflow for terminating an employee, it then comes over here and triggers a transition for this onboarding issue to go to the terminated status. So all that, again, is not shown here, but there can be this really cool integration between workflows. So, and again, this Kanban board provides a dashboard of sorts that allows you to see which employees are in which parts of that workflow. Again, as each of these columns represents a different part of the workflow. So that's the tier 1 workflow, the tier 1 onboarding. So let's go to the tier 2 board. You can see this has more columns because the workflow has more statuses in it. It's a little bit more involved workflow. So let's jump in. Let's go to Ricky McGill. Love that name. So let's look at this particular workflow. Again, this is a different issue type that has a different workflow. So this is a tier 2 issue type. And again, these are all based on users, employees. So let's look and see what the onboarding process is for a tier 2 agent. So, okay, so that's zoomed in. So here we see a little more involved workflow where these users could be recruited, again, from outside of the company or potentially from inside. the company, recruiting maybe some tier 1 users to go up to be tier 2 agents. So you have recruited to scheduled to testing potentially, or as we note here, you could go from scheduled, potentially jumping over these testing for these tier 2 users to be certified. They need to go be tested and pass a given certification exam for a state that they're working in, or maybe multiple states that they're having to cover as a tier 2 agent. So this, again, this gets into that compliance, need to meet compliance in this insurance industry. So, but maybe it's somebody who's already certified and they can jump over into that certified status. And then they could go through advanced training, peer mentoring. Again, potentially somebody who's done has a lot of experience can potentially jump forward through the workflow as well. Ultimately, again, trying to get to the good to go status. And then again, what's not shown in this is the ability within any of these transitions to potentially have validation, like some where you might require various, like somebody needs to be assigned to something, or some other field needs to be filled out on these items in order to get this user from one status to another status. There could also be some automation in the background where as soon as somebody goes from scheduling to testing, it kicks off a new work item in another project, maybe in an IT project where they kick off a task where they need to start to get a computer ready for this particular user to go through their testing and to start to be trained. So it could kick off work items in other projects. Then we also, again, have that terminated status out here, and they could be integrated with a whole other project that's focusing on what the steps involved in terminating a user. And again, that might mean kicking off things where they have to get that laptop back from someone, and any number of other different tasks that have to happen in closing out somebody's work accounts. So a number of things that could be happening in the background. And again, all of these users who are going through the onboarding process at any given time, you as a team doing this can see where these users are. They potentially, as they're going through this workflow, they are like the assignee of a particular issue type is changing because maybe I am focused on the testing part of this. So when it's scheduled and it moves to testing, it changes from one assignee to another assignee. So that can easily happen within Jira. So again, and you can at any given time see what you're responsible for, who you're responsible for, what are they in, what am I need to focus on with them. So a great dashboard to look at. Okay, so let's go back here. So we focused again this on hiring, onboarding, and this could be set up, customized for exactly your particular needs. Okay, next is service desks. So this particular example is focused on really any team. It could be HR, marketing, legal, IT, any team you can think of, okay? Because many teams that are in an organization could be considered a service team. Even though they may not feel like it, they're providing services. They may provide services to internal customers or external customers, or both. Again, like legal or marketing, they could have internal customers, other users, other employees. And then you have the problem where there could be many different channels of intake for these service requests. Again, emails, your boss calls you. You have a talk in the hallway. Well, that might have been 2 years ago. Maybe you're back to work in an office. But again, the idea is you're getting your team or you as an individual are getting this intake of service requests or needs from all sorts of different channels. And there's no clear way to prioritize them. They're not all in one place that you could see as a team that I'm working on this, can you work on this, things like that. So again, despite your best efforts, these services are, they're not being, worked on well, collaborated on well. The person requesting it may be wondering, when is this going to be done? Where is it at? Is it even being looked at yet? Things like that. and they might not have a good way to ask you for updates about the service or the question they wanted some answers for. So the solution at a high level is a service desk that provides a clean intake form and keeps the requesters automatically up to date with where their request is. And it also could provide a queue in the background that would help a team prioritize their work, or even individuals on a team prioritize their work, and to be able to respond in a timely manner using agreed upon SLAs. So the tools that we're going to use here are Jira, Service Management, and Confluence. And again, we're just going to highlight some things. These are pretty generic use cases, but they're things that we've built for our clients. We've done a lot of Jira Service Management engagements, and it's just growing as Atlassian invests in their ITSM solutions. So let's go back into our Jira instance. Again, this Jira instance also has Jira Service Management product brought in. So, and what you get with Jira Service Management is you can have what we see here as a help center, or an ultimate help desk that highlights various service desks that are set up within your project or within your Jira instance. And each of these represents a different service management project. So we see marketing has one, the IT has a service desk, HR has one, facilities has one. Again, any number of teams in your organization could have their own service desk. So for example, IT, I could click on this and I can see options available. Maybe I'm having an issue with my computer, and I can click on that. And then I see various ways I could request specifically. This gets very specific. Maybe I need a new laptop, something like that. So that's a focus here with the IT service desk. When I go back to the help center, though, I'm particularly want to show an example around the HR service desk. So here I'm going to click on this. At the top, what I see quickly are some help articles that this service desk is set up to show. These help articles, I'll click into one. Maybe I want to learn some FAQs about the HR team. So this is showing me a particular article that is being sourced from Confluence. So this shows some integration using Jira Service Management and Confluence. So out here, I see something that's been brought over from Confluence. But maybe this doesn't help me so much, and I still need to submit a request. So I go back to the service desk, and I'm going to say, no, I need to raise a request. When I choose that, I get some different request options. And in particular, I want to do a change request for my information. So what information do you need to change? And just for the sake of it, I'll just say, I need to change my last name. Just got married and want to update my name. So I could do this here. Notice as I put in this particular request, if there's some keyword that I have set up over in Confluence on some articles, it's going to populate these knowledge articles over here, which is great. These could potentially deflect your requests and lighten the load on your service agents. So really great features with collaborating with Confluence. So let's say, no, I'm good to go. None of these help me. I still want to submit this request. I go ahead and click send. When I do this, I see out here in this portal, I see information around what I submitted to the service desk. I can see where it's at in its workflow. I can share this potentially with other users. I can add comments like where, when maybe I haven't heard back for a while, I could say, when is this being worked on? So I could submit a comment that it's going to go to the service agents. So this is, again, the customer view. This, again, could be an internal customer, or it could be an external customer, somebody who is not in your Jira instance. And they don't necessarily have to log in to submit these. So they can be an external. The nice thing about Jira Service Management is your licensing is around the agent or the user within Jira Service Management who's going to be taking these and processing these requests. You're not being charged by the customers, by the customer count. So you could have thousands of customers using this. You're not being charged for each customer. It's just going to be on the number of agents you have in the background. So here's my customer view. Then I can also see all the requests that I've submitted out here and where they stand in the workflow. And for any of these, now I am in Jira Service Management. So let me switch hats here, and I'm going to go actually into the back end and see the Jira Service Management project. So I'm going back in now. So I'm putting on my agent hat, and within, I can see that this particular ticket has gone into the HR Service Desk project. And this looks a little different from the Jira Work Management or Jira software that we've seen earlier. So I can see a couple of things around how this came in into this particular queue. I can see the SLAs that I'm working with. I can see who reported it. I can see any knowledge base articles that I might use to help answer this request or process it. And again, I can come over here into the comment area, and I can add an internal note, meaning I could do an internal comment to collaborate with my teammates. And I can also reply to the customer. So they said, when is this being worked on? I could reply to them, and I can say, I am working on it now. And I could save that. That goes out to the customer. And I can go take this from to do to start. And now it's in progress. And the customer sees that it's also in progress. They can see those real live updates out here as well. So a lot of cool features here. There's also a lot of things built in now with Jira Service Management that can collaborate with Ops Genie and Status Page. And we have other webinars, a few that focus on Jira Service Desk and other ITSM solutions that are available that you can register. They're coming up in the next 2 months. So again, we're focused here. Just a couple of notes of caution that with service desks, like any piece of technology, these can be used in impersonal ways. So we definitely want to be empathetic with the users, with the customers, as we're designing these service portals. And then just to note that we've often set up these service projects to work with other team projects, maybe software projects, so that these service desks provide that intake for things related to outside customers, and they can then be worked and they can be integrated with software teams. Like maybe a bug comes in to this service desk, then a service or a software team can be notified about that bug. That can kick off a task or a bug within their particular project, and you can have these workflows that work back and forth with each other. So there's a lot of great opportunities for integration between service desk projects and software projects within Jira. All right, so we are almost out of time. Wanted to focus on one last example. That is centralized knowledge. So again, this can relate to any type of team, and the problem is teams use a lot of different tools. There's maybe a lot of different sources of information, and nobody's quite sure where to find the information they need quickly. So again, the solution at a high level is to provide a portal, a page where you're centralizing where that knowledge can be found. And the solution is to use Confluence. So I'm just going to show you quickly an example of going back into our marketing space within Confluence, a couple of pages, and just to give you a sense, a way to go forward with your centralizing of information. So here is a marketing space. We have a team homepage that says a bit about who we are as the marketing team. Shows updates to various pages within the space. It can, again, where to find us, some quick links about where to find us, who's on our team, shows some nice pictures, links, can say, hey, you can check out our calendar. This is kind of what we're up to. This is a nice place for frequently used resources. Again, these are just links that are going out to other places. In fact, most of these are links going out to a Google Drive. So these are documents out in Google. Again, another place where we as an organization are storing, are updating information. But this particular page in Confluence is that portal to direct you, to point you in the right direction, to find information. So we have all that information out here. We've already looked at the project dashboards and the individual project pages. I highlighted those earlier. Those live out here. But we also have some other types of pages like meeting notes. This is just a pretty standard template that comes out of the box within Confluence. You can take meeting notes and you can have summary of your meeting notes out here. You can click on, and I'm just clicking into another meeting notes page. Nothing's really in here, it's just a template, but you could utilize these very easily. Let's see what else we have out here. We have Agile team notes. Actually, I've jumped over into a different space. Let me go back into marketing. And just highlight that there's a couple other ways. We have some other pages here. We have a new product plan page. And this highlights that we, as a team, as a market team, we're also using Miro. Miro, by the way, is a great tool, a whiteboarding tool you can get out, on the cloud and work together, collaborate, and make some cool presentations or cool story maps, other things like this. And there's a Miro macro within Confluence where you, again, can integrate out here to your Miro team area, show these Miro boards, see a real life update of them. So this is great. So you have that integration between Confluence and other SaaS products. So that's one thing out here. There's Miro. We also have a page here where our market team's trying to get ready for a trade show in Vegas. Maybe those will start happening again in person. So here we have, let's make sure it renders here. Come on. So the idea here is we're trying to show a Trello board that was showing up earlier. Here we go. There we go. So here is an integration with our team's Trello board. So maybe we're not working in Jira so much. Our team is using Trello. Well, we can show a real life integration here. Notice that, again, I can come into here. I can actually move these tickets along, these cards along in our team's Trello board and make real live updates on Trello and see real live updates. If any other changes have been made out here, I can see it in real time. So some really cool integrations there with Trello. And then lastly, here we have a page that just notes that I've put a link in to a Google Sheet. Then this doesn't live in Confluence, this lives out in the Google Drive somewhere, but I can real time update a Google Sheet out here, and it's saved over in Google, but other people can access this particular page and see any updates I've been making as well. So a lot of cool items here. So that comes to the end of our examples. In wrapping up, just wanted to note that we do have upcoming webinars and classes available. You can see a list of those here. You can also go out to, I think our project coordinators are putting in or have put in some links to our Expium, our homepage, that you can register for any one of these webinars. We also have a Jira Bootcamp coming up next week, as well as a Confluence Bootcamp next week and also in October that you can register for. You can see details about those. You can also use this to connect with me on LinkedIn. We also have an Expium LinkedIn group as well that you can connect to here with these QR codes. If you have any questions around what's come up here on this webinar, or are interested in getting help with licensing or training or consulting, please reach out to me at jason.kidner@expium.com, and I would love to talk with you about ways that we could potentially support you and any of your Atlassian product needs. So with that, we don't have, one question here did come up. Do you offer training on the tools that you've shown today? And the answer is yes, we do offer training on any of these products. Again, some of them are public courses, but we do offer private custom training. And we can do whatever you need with any of these Atlassian products. And the idea here is we teach you how to fish. We teach you how to use these tools and to get the most value out of the tools that you're using. that's really what we love to do with our clients. All right, so with that, we are out of time today, but I just wanted to thank you again for attending. I hope that you got a lot of value out of this, or seen a lot of the opportunities, the potential for using Atlassian tools to help out with your business team. So with that, I will say goodbye and hope that we can connect sometime in the future.